On my new main server Vitera, I started from zero with my previous druid. We originally were going to give it a chance as a duo and see if we enjoy it, but by level 50, we already had gotten our main squad back to play with us. So for this video in particular, I will cover what we did as a duo until level 50 during a brand new server. Just be aware that we didn't start on day 1. We actually started a week after its release, which is not ideal if you want to be competitive, but this started more as a side project and we were very casual about it, because my druid wasn't very open to starting over, but I wanted to move away from my main and I really needed something to keep me distracted from real life, so a new server was the perfect place for me, as the grind is high on the early levels, and on a new server where you also have to work for everything, it can be very time consuming, exactly what I wanted. But don't treat this as a guide, it's more of a blog about what we did and that might be helpful for some of you. Now let's get started with the video. We were a duo even on Downpour, and since we were a week late, there wasn't competition for monsters here, so level 8 came by fast. Upon reaching mainland, I switched to a Bottlax, which is a cheap two-handed axe. I don't necessarily recommend going for axe. I think club and sword are better choices, but I felt like playing axe. No good reason other than my name has lance on it. Then we started by going to Dorasha Rockworms until level 14. Because Rockworms are fairly weak, so even with no skills, I was doing decent damage with very little risk. They also give some decent gold and loot bags. 1 hour in, we stopped for the day at level 13, since like I said, we were very casual to the server at first. On the next day, I got an Orcish axe and a garden shield from a friend, as well as some skills from having offline train. We then move on to the Rockworm Cave of Liberty Bay, which is a bit harder, but it had at least 3 other people there. So while being on Liberty Bay, I decided to try out the Cold Cave in here. This is a very unusual spawn that nobody ever will go to, so that makes it a good spawn during a new server. Also, since the server was already up for a week, there was a slight demand for rope bells, so the money from here was also good, with good potential for big profits from bag of apple slices from witches, which we ended up getting. However, it did come at the cost of me dying once, since the spawn can get difficult sometimes, and if you're wondering about the experience, it was around 20 to 25k raw. Then we went from 15 to 20 in less than an hour, and then again stopped for the day. On day 3, we started there again for about a 30-minute hunt, and then move on to the Tarantulas of Porthope, where we started to do better experience of around the 40k raw, but it was also more contested. Regardless, we continued to hunt here until level 25, finishing 2 tasks of Grizzly Adams, and then we move on to yet another very uncommon spawn, the Mammoth Factory of Sparkground, one of my favorite spawns during a new server, which I have gone to every time, good for tasking, XP and profit. You can make good loot bags from here, and there is rare drops like dust from the elephants and the bag of apple slices from witches, both highly valuable on a new server. As for the experience, it was around the 45k raw. We stayed here until finishing a full task and up to level 30. And for this day, we played almost 3 hours. Then on the next day, Carniphilas got boosted. These are also taskable monsters and have a good stats for this level. Getting them boosted was amazing for us. We went to the Taekwondo Laboratory, and even though the spawn was contested by 2 other people, with it being boosted, the spawn was fast enough to feed everyone. That normally wouldn't be the case, but you also usually don't need to share the spawn to begin with. The experience here was of close to 60k raw, and with the bonuses, we were doing over 210k. We did about 1 hour in here, getting to level 34, and then my druid had to go. But I wanted to get more out of the boosted bonus, so I continued solo a bit longer in the cave near Tesuras. The next day we started to AoE hunt, starting on the Mariana Cave. Here the experience was of around the 100 to 110k, and for the most part we only needed the last floor of the cave, which had less competition and is great for tasking gargoyles, stone golems and tarantulas. We did 1 hunt and then move on to the upper spike, where we tried multiple laps to test out which one was the best for our upcoming video. But spoilers, it was indeed the lap with the Corims. Unlike my video for mages where the gap across the different spots was smaller, for us the Corims ended up being pretty much solid, sitting at around 170k raw XP. After hunting for 2 hours and getting to level 41, we stopped for the day. We came back the next day to the spike, and since the Corims was taken, we went for the second best spot, the southwest of -3, getting also around the 170k raw XP. After 1 hour, we move on to the Edron Tomb to try that as well, making around 150 to 160k XP in here, but running into other people more often. Then our duo adventures came to an end on level 45, when our paladin was the first to join us by purchasing a level 50 in the bazaar. So from 45 to 50, we 3 men on the Worm Mountain of Liberty Bay. One of the most noob friendly spawns and surprisingly a good experience for a 3 man, with averages of 220k raw. this with low skill characters and not using SDs unless we overlured. For the most part, we kept it simple and basic hunting with exotic spells. And after around 1 hour and a half, we finished the day at level 50, taking us 5 days, on which the first 2 we play around 1 hour each, and then the last 3 doing somewhere between 2 to 3 hours. So on average, it was around 2 hours every day, with no boosts and nothing spent on training. Only supplies, which we kept to a minimum, and most were even covered with the profit from the hunts, so you can easily start new servers with low to no budgets at all, and still make it work if you're smart about it. Don't feel forced to having to spend thousands of TCs from the start, and stick to a pace you are comfortable with. And that's all I got for this video. I will continue this series with more team hunt oriented content for what we did, so consider subscribing if you are interested, and if you want to support the channel, consider sending Tibia coins to Gudii donation. Thank you very much for watching, and a special thanks to Tuna Hero, Thor the Slasher, and Nightstar for their support of the channel.